the Toy Box Killer. In 1999, in a small New Mexico town named Truth or Consequences, a horrific crime came to light that shocked the world. A woman was seen running through the streets, naked and with a dog chain around her neck. Cynthia Vigil had just escaped from a living nightmare. Bruised, bleeding, and terrified, she stumbled into a nearby house and begged the homeowner to call the police. Cynthia told the police that she had been held captive and tortured for 2 days by a man named David Parker Ray and his girlfriend, Cindy Hindy. The details of her captivity would send shivers down anyone's spine. When officers arrived at the address Cynthia provided, they found what seemed to be an ordinary house. But inside, and parked in the yard, they found a locked RV. Inside this RV was what David Ray himself called the Toy Box, a custom-made torture chamber used to inflict unimaginable pain. Inside, the police found chains, pulleys, whips, and surgical tools, along with a bed designed for torturing his victims. But most disturbingly, they found dozens of videotapes showing David Parker Ray torturing women, with his girlfriend Cindy Hindy by his side, threatening them with a revolver. During questioning, David and Cindy claimed that Cynthia was a drug addict and that they were trying to reform her. But Cynthia's testimony painted a much more sinister picture. She had been chained, tortured, and made to listen to David's pre-recorded tape, which detailed exactly what he was going to do to her. And he showed her photographs of previous victims, proof that she wasn't the first. Cynthia's courage and quick thinking saved her life. When Cindy left her momentarily unattended, she managed to find the keys to her chains and fought back against Cindy before making her escape. This act of bravery would soon expose David Parker Ray's heinous crimes. The FBI quickly became involved in this case, suspecting that David Parker Ray was no ordinary kidnapper. In fact, they soon learned that he had been operating as a sadistic serial killer for years. But there was one problem. Despite confessions and the horrific evidence, no bodies were ever found. David Parker Ray confessed to torturing and killing as many as 14 women, and Cindy later confirmed his crimes, adding that Ray's own daughter, Glenda Ray, and others had helped recruit more victims, but the scale of this operation was deeper, as involvement of the town was alleged. Rumors circulated that Ray organized private parties where others participated in these gruesome acts, and that some of the women were sold as escorts across the border into Mexico, even implicating Ray with the case of the missing women in Juarez. Born in 1939, David was raised by a violent, alcoholic father and a neglectful mother. David's early life was marked by abuse. His father would often show him sadistic and explicit material at a young age, an act that would leave a deep and dark impression on him. He was a shy, quiet child, often bullied by his peers, but behind that introverted demeanor was the seed of something far more dangerous. As a teenager, David Parker Ray found a sadomasochistic magazine that would change the course of his life. Fascinated by the violent images and fantasies it depicted, Ray began to explore the world of BDSM in ways that were far from consensual. This dark curiosity grew over the years and would eventually manifest into his horrifying toy box. After graduating high school, Ray enlisted in the U.S. Army as a mechanic. Although his time in the military seemed ordinary on the surface, this period gave him the technical skills he would later use to design his custom torture chamber. But even in the Army, dark rumors followed him, whispers of sadistic behavior and violent tendencies. Investigators even speculated that David Parker Ray could be connected to the infamous missing women of Juarez, a string of disappearances that haunted the Mexican border town. Was he selling some of his victims? And if so, who else was involved? Despite a massive investigation, no bodies were ever found. The tape showed at least 60 victims, but the true number could be much higher. 2 women survived David's sadistic torture, but had previously been ignored by the police when they filed complaints. And yet, so many others did not make it out alive. David Parker Ray was eventually sentenced to 223 years in prison. His girlfriend and accomplice, Cindy Hindy, received a much lighter sentence of 36 years after making a deal to testify against him. But in 2002, just before being transferred to a maximum security prison, David died of a heart attack at the age of 62, taking many of his dark secrets to the grave. Many questions remain unanswered. What happened to the bodies? How deep did this criminal network run? And how many more victims are there that we'll never know about? If you found this story as disturbing as we did, don't forget to leave a comment below with your own thoughts. I mean, here's one of my thoughts. Cindy Hindi, what a ridiculous name. Also, feel free to send us an email at dragonvin@gmail.com with your own stories that you would like us to cover. And as always, thanks so much for watching and have a wonderful night.